I'm Emily, and today I have Davie with me. Hey, Davie.
Hey, how's it going, Emily?
I'm good. How are you? I love your background. Love the clouds. Looks really nice and sunny where you are.
We're giving spring clouds. There's some horses and some chicken. We might see them later.
Who were some artists that really impacted you while you were growing up?
Well, growing up, I grew up in a very Christian home, so I was only allowed to listen to gospel. But gospel, yeah, it's the same. Heather's the same. But gospel music was like really
Gospel music
cool.
is gorgeous.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm
no, sorry.
saying.
Mine was just like white person, like Christian music on the guitar that you just have to sit there and you're like, I'm so led. So you had way more culture
True
within
gospel
your
music is
yeah.
so beautiful.
Ours
So
was
well.
like Amazing Grace.
And you're like, well,
And I'm like, oh,
I think it's like, it depends because we had both where it's like, it was I won't say bands names for the sake of not getting in trouble, but like we had the like basic ones and then we had like the Kirk Franklins, which was like, he puts on a show like no other. Clark sisters who inspired like Beyonce and Rihanna and all these amazing artists. So like growing up, it was, you're getting the cream of the crop. And so those were the artists that inspired me first because that was all I could listen to. And then my parents would like introduce me to Lauryn Hill's Sister Act. I mean, me and Heather talk about this all the time, but like Sister Act was that movie. And so it's like you just watch it all the time. And I think our generation, our age group, we just kind of got lucky where like there was just so many good moments of pop stars and R&B stars and soul artists coming from in really good movies and in really good soundtracks. And so that's kind of Lauryn Hill was a big one. I mean, from Sister Act. And I mean, look at her now. So yeah.
it's also so interesting. This is like a little bit of like a side tangent, but it's so interesting too how many people, including you, grew up singing like in the church and like gospel and stuff. Like Katy Perry, perfect example. Like there's so many people that started there and then pivoted, but obviously pull from that same inspiration that you do.
There's so much history in gospel music.
Ethnomusicology.
Yeah, I love ethnomusicology. So there's so much history in gospel music where it comes from like all of these wide variety of influences. Like, you have Gregorian chants where, it starts and then it moves up to something more like on the organ. And then you have influence from people singing spirituals in like Appalachia. And it blends into this really beautiful and complex being. So I think gospel music is a really great place to get inspiration from.
It is. And then you vocally got to come correct. Like there's no way you're going to sing it in a live setting and people want to feel moved. So it's the best boot camp. It's the best.
And
boot
it's
camp.
like the literal physical architecture of the buildings you would sing it in is to
Incredible.
highlight your voice. So there's no hiding.
No hiding.
Can you tell us a little bit about
Yeah.
I mean, you were like young. Like this was
very
like a
young.
huge,
Yeah.
This is such an interesting story.
So my origin story, when you're like grow up as a singer, you're like, oh, I'm in a little small town. These vocal coaches come to your small town. There's a vocal coach by the name of Brett Manning, who like is Taylor Swift's vocal coach, and Haley Williams from Paramore and Take Six. Long story short, this vocal coach came to my small town and he did these things like workshops where he takes really young teenagers and you sing for him. And he's like, oh yeah, whatever. He collects a check and he goes home. But when it was my turn to sing for him, I sang a song I wrote. So artist, if you write, always do that. So I sang this song for Brett Manning and he essentially called in my parents and he basically was like, I would love any way I can to help this kid get to Nashville. I was maybe about 14 or 15 and he did exactly what he said. He really helped support me. My family, we got a place in Nashville. He called up, Brian McKnight and Claude McKnight of Take Six and basically was like, I have this really talented kid. At the time I went by James David, James is my first name and David is my middle name. So I was a different artist name, but that Nashville community really rallied behind me. They would check in. Me and my dad would meet other producers and I was only 15 or 16. And so there was that developmental aspect of things with Brett Manning and with Brian McKnight and Claude McKnight and Take Six and a lot of those early industry people in Nashville that really changed my life. And then eventually, like every other artist, I hit puberty, got old, and they dropped me. And that record will never come out and see the light of day. But it was the thought that counts.
'Cause hot girls always win.
Thanks for listening to Emily Spins It, presented by the Indie Music Network and Not Dead Yet Media. Produced by Heather Armas, Oren Strobel, Nicole Caracost, and Anya Kauffman. Edited by me, Emily Mills. Our intro and outro music is Hot Girls Always Win by Really Blonde. If you've enjoyed the episode, please support the podcast by sharing, subscribing, and leaving a review. You can also follow the show on Instagram and YouTube at Emily Spins It. For more shows about breaking through the noise, head over to the Indie Music Network podcast. If you have questions or feedback, contact us at notdeadyetmedia.com/contact.